Louisiana governor cancels primaries after flipping out about the Dems doing that. And the FBI is looking into who leaked the report on Cash Patel's very bad drinking problem.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Welcome back to another episode of Resistance Radio. My name is Dane Snudden, the super communist, and I'm joined today by the Chaos Queen Emma Embers and our AI program, James Harris.
Hello.
ChatGPT noises.
And we have another news episode there. So a Jeffrey Epstein note, allegedly, was released by a federal judge today. The note, you can see it on the screen, is written very poorly, but we're going to read it to you here so you guys can see what you think.
This barely legible letter was allegedly written to his then cellmate. They investigated me for months. Found nothing. So 16-year-old charge results. It is a treat to be able to choose one's time to say goodbye. Want to watch me do it? Bust out crying. No fun. Not worth it. No signature.
Bro, they totally just fucking had an AI write that. Like, James, did you write that?
Cannot confirm or deny.
I will say that it has multiple M dashes in it. And if you've read any of the Epstein emails, 98% of them are him just forwarding something to Ghislaine saying, handle this.
Yeah.
It was barely literate. I don't know if he actually knew how to use an M dash while typing on a computer.
Yeah.
Let alone handwriting.
And I just think that it's like so funny because that happened 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And like now all of a sudden
well, actually it would be 7 years ago.
Yeah, and then now all of a sudden there's just a note. Like why was this note not procured when like it came out that Trump had all these ties? That would have been a great time for this note to magically appear, but instead it's right now. Like,
well, a couple of days ago when they first started talking about it, before they actually had the note, I was like, I don't like, unless it literally is just him saying, yes, I did it and Trump was my number one man. Like, what does this tell us that we don't already know? And then we get the note and it's even dumber than I thought it was.
They found nothing. Motherfucker, you were in jail.
You were literally caught red penis.
Why would you kill yourself if they didn't find anything? It makes no sense.
I will say that investigated me for months, found nothing. Sounds like something Trump would tweet at 3.
Honestly, it really does. Maybe Trump wrote this.
Well, maybe
it's Trump's suicide note.
This guy was best friends with Trump for how long?
I can't even believe that we're still at a point where we haven't gotten them released.
Yep.
Well, unredacted, because they are released.
Yeah.
But like, it's just.
Well, no, there's still a fraction of them that are actually released, and the ones that are heavily redacted. And also, now they're trying this bullshit where because Pam Bondi isn't in the administration anymore, she's trying to play this game that she can't go testify before Congress because the subpoena was in her official capacity as Attorney General. And my thought process on that is, if that's how they're going to play it, then say, okay, well, now we're subpoenaing you out of office to talk about your time in office.
Yeah, it's just a fucking joke, man. Like, all of this obviously happening as we are, in war, and gas prices are through the fucking roof. And then it's like, oh yeah, we just happened to find this note that we've been missing for 7 fucking years, dog. Like,
well, and just to get ahead of the curve, there is going to be someone in the comments section saying, well, why didn't you release the Epstein files while Biden was president?
Oh my God.
Well, look, we all know that the only reason the Democrats decided to even pursue this was because Republicans were in charge. The reason they didn't release it is because Democrats are just as complicit in it as the Republicans.
Yeah.
We don't care about that. We need pedophiles out of power.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't care. Like, Republicans keep doing that a lot on social media where they'll be like, well, Reid Hoffman was in the files. And I'm like, yeah, cool.
Right.
What did I say last time we talked about this?
Yeah.
He can go too.
Yeah.
I'm choosing my words carefully here.
Something, an 8 and a 6.
Oh, yeah.
Wait,
I've been told that has always meant murder. So anytime somebody has said 86 those fries, they meant actually murder those fries. Yeah.
65% of fast food shootings are actually the cook getting rid of old fries.
Gotta put them out back like old Yeller.
Well, now, I have dug through some of the Epstein files, and if I can find the source again, I'll put it in the description, but there's one where the entire file is blacked out, except for Cash Patel pleads the fifth.
What? What?
Yeah, that's the only line in it that isn't redacted.
What does that even reference?
The Fifth Amendment, or
Well, no, I know that. I mean, like, when did Cash Patel plead the fifth? What was he pleading the fifth about? Like, what?
something related to Epstein.
That's these people are all freaks.
He was like a conspiracy theorist YouTuber before.
Well, yeah, look at those eyes. The cash money eyes.
He wants to sell you some brain force. Speaking of gaps in the brain, and Cash Patel in particular, a couple of weeks ago, he tried to sue a newspaper called The Atlantic for publishing that he had a severe drinking problem. And that case was thrown out almost immediately, despite Cash swearing up and down that it was a legal slam dunk.
That sounds about like cash money.
That does sound about like Cash Money.
Cash Patel wouldn't know a legal slam dunk if it fucking walloped him on the side of the head. Like,
But instead of taking the L and moving on with his life like a normal person, Cash Patel has decided to use the FBI's resources to investigate and figure out who leaked this information to the reporter.
And now we have some breaking news. MS Now has just learned that the FBI is launching a criminal leak investigation into the Atlantic magazine article alleging heavy drinking and erratic behavior from FBI Director Cash Patel. Let's go right to MS Now Justice and Intelligence reporter Ken Delaney. And Ken, what more do we know about this investigation?
Good morning, Anna. Well, our sources say that it's troubling on two fronts. One, there was no known disclosure of classified information in this long Atlantic magazine article by the journalist Sarah Fitzpatrick, which was essentially a deeply unflattering portrait of FBI Director Cash Patel's work habits. It alleged that he engages in heavy drinking and that at times his security detail had trouble waking him up in the morning. And I should add that he obviously denies those allegations and has filed a defamation lawsuit against the Atlantic, which is ongoing, and they stand by their reporting. But no classified disclosures, and so our sources are puzzled as to how there even is a criminal leaks investigation, but they're even more troubled by what they say is a focus on the journalist, which is very unusual. There are leaks investigations all the time. They focus on the potential unauthorized disclosures by government officials. Journalists only get involved as witnesses, as a last resort. The Justice Department used to have rules that said that they have to exhaust every other method of getting information before they go to a journalist. This is a new frontier here for the FBI. They have historically been very, very reluctant to take any steps that appear to be investigating journalists because they fear that it could chill the First Amendment.
So to point out why this is really fucking stupid, let me put this in different terms. If you were on the other side of the political aisle from us, and imagine that the Biden administration tried charging everybody who even talked about Hunter Biden's laptop. That's the same shit. Like, this is lawfare, plain and simple. And it's even stupider because there isn't even an alleged crime. That is the press's job, is to report on what our elected officials and those in power are doing.
Mm-hmm.
They're the primary check against evil people in power. They're not doing a very great job lately, but someone reporting a factual story, we all know this motherfucker drinks a lot. There's photos and videos of it everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what we need to be spending time on. Anything to distract from the Epstein files, I guess.
we used to be a proper country, man. Remember when we used to tap people's phones and the NSA was listening and we had an actual whistleblower and an actual leaker come forward, and then like that's what they were pursuing? But instead now we're going after because fucking Cash Patel's ego got hurt. But like, you know, that there was actual justifiable cause from the government's point of view, at least, to go after Snowden. Cash Patel, like, what? He, you know, gets a little too tipsy every once in a while. Like, why?
I also like just this whole strategy on the right of like suing everybody into silence when they report on the things that you do. It's hard to make that happen when you literally are caught on camera constantly doing the thing that you're claiming you're not doing. Like Cash Patel
Right.
literally was on camera drinking copious amounts of alcohol with the U.S. hockey team after the Olympics. We had Senator Corey Tomchak in Wisconsin, who, when he was still running for his seat, went to oppose a resolution saying that the town that he was going to was going to be open and welcoming to everybody. A 13-year-old gay kid went up to him and was trying to like convince him and change his mind. He turns around and calls that 13-year-old gay kid the F slur. And then when the reporters report on it, he tries to sue them and the judge throws it out because it's like you had like fucking 10 witnesses out there that saw you do it. You're dead to rights.
That's a wonderful example of the Streisand effect. Because, to be honest, I've got better things to worry about than Cash Patel. I don't care about him enough to know that he has a drinking problem, and I would have lived my whole life that way if he didn't try to sue.
Yep.
But now I know, against my will, because I don't care enough to look this up, these are the geniuses in charge of our government right now.
That, kids, is why gas is over $4.
Speaking of gas being over $4, Trump this week said, I ran your gas prices up over $4 by continuing his Iran war bullshit.
Yeah. And Project Freedom, right?
Yeah. Classic Americana, man.
Project Freedom from the Epstein file.
Epstein Fury is dead. Much like Epstein himself, in theory. Long live Operation Project Freedom.
President Trump says a deal to end the war with Iran is very possible as Tehran considers a U.S. proposal that would formally end the conflict. Natalie Brand has the latest from the White House.
So I think we won.
President Trump insists his administration is close to an agreement with Iran, though he hasn't given a deadline.
We've had very good talks over the last 24 hours, and it's very possible that we'll make a deal.
While the White House has not officially commented, Axios reports the deal centers on a one-page memorandum to end the war and then start more detailed negotiations on key issues, including a moratorium on Iran's nuclear enrichment, the lifting of U.S. sanctions, and both sides ending restrictions in the Strait of Hormuz.
Iran's president said he recently met with the new supreme leader as the regime considers the latest U.S. proposal. This morning, Saudi Arabia's state-owned television channel said that a breakthrough to let ships go through the key waterway is expected in the coming hours.
Love how they say Saudi Arabian state-owned television channel. Like, our fucking media is not state-owned. Trump literally told ABC that if Jimmy Kimmel was not let go, that they would withhold funding. That is about as state-owned as you can get without...
Technically speaking, it's not state-owned because it's owned by the same people that own the state, which is the billionaires.
Correct. So the state doesn't own it, it's just the people that own the state own it.
Yep.
Okay, got me on a technicality there. Pretty sure all of our viewers can admit that, it's basically the same thing.
No, it's like Tesla and SpaceX are both owned by Elon Musk.
Musk.
I like that.
Spit up on that thing.
Once again, the asexual person is always the most graphic.
The most perverted, ruining the good name of Hawk Tuah.
Did she have a good name?
I mean, it was an iconic one.
What about the crypto scam?
Speaking of crypto scam, we're going to touch
Our new resistance coin.
Yeah, we got Resistance Coin, where we will resist the urge to rug pull for as long as possible.
We promise.
The closure has impacted Gulf allies particularly hard, and Iran is signaling it's trying to formalize control over vital shipping lanes in the strait.
The straits have been closed since February 28th, and only about 5% of shipping is getting through a day now.
Those lanes had been free and open to commerce before the war began.
Our government is a massive joke. The idea that, it was all supposed to be done and over with because he ran out his authority without any congressional approval, and then they can just cancel the operation and start it over with a new name, and then be like, we're back on the timeline again.
No.
And then immediately suspend the new operation.
You know what vibe it gives? It gives that vibe when you were in elementary school playing tag, and right before somebody would tag you, you'd call timeout and be like, "No, you can't tag me because I called timeout." Oh no, we can't lose if we just keep restarting operations.
Yep. Yeah, and the idea that this is how the system is supposed to work is comical. This should be, even with the Trump court, This should be a slam dunk case where they should be able to take him to the Supreme Court and say, this should not be allowed. This is a clear attempt to circumvent the war powers, and it has to be stopped. It's literally cut and dry. You cannot declare war unless you're Congress, because Congress is the representative of the people. And we don't want the president just deciding we're going to go to war with somebody and then dragging all of us along with him when we don't support it and the representatives of us aren't allowed to weigh in on it.
Trump, like, just keeps finessing the system, and he is routinely allowed to keep finessing the system, and nobody fucking does anything about it, and it makes the fucking liberals look stupid. Like,
Well, and what doesn't help either is that Democrats also helped create this problem. And this is why I am always a critic of Democrats, because Democrats are all we have is a functional oppositional party, so we need them to get their act together. And this is a perfect example. Kamala was the one at the debate in the presidential election who said that Iran was our number one enemy overseas. She laid the groundwork for this.
Yeah.
Biden laid the groundwork for this. Obama actually did not lay the groundwork for any of this. Obama's the one person in this. For once, I'm going to say that Obama didn't do anything wrong with the foreign policy in this situation.
Well, you look at the negotiations, it is reopening the strait, it is giving Iran restrictions on nuclear enrichment, and a couple other things. It is literally, you're trying to bring back a worse version of the Obama nuclear deal with Iran.
Yep.
But
that's what Trump does.
But
he breaks shit and then fixes it worse, and then is like, I fixed it.
Yep.
Literally the same thing we already had, but worse. Thousands and thousands of people died for literally no reason because of this, and billions of people across the globe are suffering economic hardship because of this stupid war that nobody wanted and helps no one except Israel.
Is not real.
So the state of Tennessee wasted no time whatsoever after the Supreme Court ruling gutting the Voting Rights Act, and just I think 7-8 days after the Supreme Court ruling, they passed a draconian new map that keeps Tennessee 100% red and divides the state in completely comical ways.
We are following that breaking news alert. Governor Bill Lee signs the new state congressional map into law.
So, fun fact about this map, I used to live in the bottom of the green part there at the south. If you look at Memphis, it's pretty ridiculous because they split it into 3 districts. But then Nashville, they split it into, I think the grand total is 5, which is ridiculous when you split a single city into 3 districts, regardless of what that city is. They're creating a bunch of lean Republican districts in Tennessee now, which means that if the political winds sweep the way that they're sweeping everywhere else, they could actually lose several of those seats.
I think it is so funny when you hear Republicans talking about how, it was the Democrats that were racist and that liked Jim Crow. But then the people that are segregating states based off of race now are the fucking Republicans.
Yep.
I was having this conversation with my mom, actually, about the party switch. And I was like, I do not give a fuck whether or not they were Democratic or they were Democrats or Republicans, because now the racist ones are the Republicans.
But when we find examples of them being racist, we go back to the president 3 hours ago.
The new map splitting Memphis into 3 districts and favoring Republicans. Protesters calling lawmakers cowards just minutes after the Tennessee House approved the new congressional map.
Because when we go to Memphis, what we see is our culture. What we see is our people. What we see is us being able to exist represented by us. Looking like us, singing like us, rapping like us. And they know what happens when they allow us to be us.
Unlike Louisiana, I have much better things to say about Tennessee. The politics suck, but the state itself and the people, amazing. That said, Bill Lee is an asshole. He's also the one that was like eager to jump on board, being like one of the first states to adopt like a Texas and Florida style anti-gay agenda, including like banning drag shows. So politics-wise, Tennessee's bad. However, they also are kind of misunderstanding their own state a little bit here, because Tennessee is not quite as conservative as like Louisiana or Texas.
Look at all the protesters. Like, we were literally just talking about how government officials aren't held accountable. The amount of people outside protesting compared to the people that are making the policy, like what?
Well-off people standing right next to somebody who clearly came out of a trailer park. No disrespect intended whatsoever. Solidarity.
Yeah. Well, and that's also just part of the character of Tennessee too. You could like be going down and all of a sudden there's like a little trailer park, and then right next to the trailer park is like a nice middle class house, and then next to that is like a mansion, and then across the street from that's maybe another trailer.
Yeah.
Like no, they're just part of the community. Everybody's the same. Tennessee is represented better by the protesters in this clip than it is the government officials that are doing this bullshit.
Well, technically, that's almost every.
I was gonna say that's like,
yeah,
your turn to get technically, Emma.
Half of the black population in the state of Tennessee lives in Memphis and Shelby County. Nearly half. How can we sit here and say that this is not about race?
But Republicans say the map was based on population and politics, not race. They argue flipping the state's last Democratic district red is only fair because Tennessee is a majority conservative state, arguing Democrats in other states have done the same thing to help their party.
What they're basically saying there, make no mistake, is that because the majority of Tennessee is conservative, you don't get representation unless you're conservative. That's what that means. This is the kind of siloing stuff that's going to get us a civil war, because it creates the front lines that we lack right now, where we have like red rural areas surrounding little blue dots. We're getting those front lines because they're pushing everybody out of the state that's not like them, and Democrats have to actually keep up with them and do the same thing in their states, or they're just going to get steamrolled, which means if you're a Republican in California, you might as well move to fucking Idaho or something, which a lot of people do.
I feel like their strategy at this point is just to keep the Dems on the back foot.
They're just hoping that they're going to reach a point where Democrats finally don't want to follow them, because that's a safe bet with how the Democrats usually operate. There's usually only a certain amount that they're willing to follow, and then they just stop and let Republicans go the rest of the way with it.
Well,
and this time so far, Democrats look like they're not going to actually stop, which is good.
Well, politics has become a game of who can screw over the other side the most, rather than working for their fucking constituents.
And while they're screwing over the other side, the working class is getting double screwed.
Without lube.
Like I've said before, don't get so invested in being a Democrat, Republican, leftist, conservative that you forget to be a good person. I gotta say that I have met some really, really wonderful people that firmly adhere to some very conservative beliefs.
This is going to be a hot take, I think, with you. You cannot pick 2 out of the 3, smart, good person, and a Republican. You cannot be all 3.
I will say
it's tough.
You could be a good person and a Republican, but then you're not smart. You can be a smart Republican, but then you're not a good person. Or you could be a good person that's smart, and then you're not a Republican.
That's a good breakdown, I think.
I'll say that your conservative rural farmers, a lot of them are really wonderful people. It is a different mindset and a different vibe where, farmers are operating on razor thin margins, just barely eking out survival year after year. The Democrats have done nothing to help. And in that case, the conservative mindset ideas of like you earn your way make a lot, and you help your neighbor when possible make a lot more sense, because it's in a very small community.
Yeah.
If somebody's constantly demanding help but never pitching in when someone else needs their help, they quickly get ostracized, they get shunned. You participate in that because that is what keeps your community together.
Yeah.
And now that is not going to carry over to city life at all. But I'm going to say that it has its place.
Valid.
Yeah.
You remember 2 years ago how outraged conservatives were that the Democrats didn't have a primary and just put Kamala as the nominee?
They were so mad, and it didn't even affect them at all.
Yeah, it's like the actual election that matters is the general one.
Which, to be fair, and we've talked about it, them not having a primary came back to bite the Dems in the ass.
Whose fault was that? Joe fucking Biden.
Sources tell ABC News Louisiana's Republican governor plans to suspend the state's primaries after the Supreme Court limited the Voting Rights Act. The court ruled one of the state's 2 majority black districts was improperly drawn and relied too heavily on race. Now Governor Jeff Landry says the state can hold its congressional elections under its current map. So, Avery, what's the latest on Louisiana's map and how this ruling could affect the midterms there?
Right. I think that this is a very aggressive move by the state of Louisiana. Absentee ballots had already been sent out to folks who were going to be using that method to cast ballots. It's possible that some of those ballots have even been returned. It's possible that we're going to see some legal challenges to what's happening here. You know, the question that it also raises is what happens to the votes that may have already been cast and may have already been returned.
So what does this all mean for the nationwide redistricting battle?
So that's still up in the air. You know, currently, as it stands, we've seen 7 states redistrict. We've seen 10 seats redrawn in favor of Democrats and 9 seats redrawn in favor of Republicans in those states across the country. We are in the midst of the primary cycle, and so I think that the fallout from this Voting Rights Act decision from the Supreme Court is going to make a bigger impact when we think about the 2028 elections than what we're going to see happen in the 2026 elections. Typically, states only redraw their maps once a decade after the census. What we've seen this cycle is states redrawing for purely partisan political reasons.
If you're going to have an aneurysm over Kamala not having a primary, like, what's different about this? And second, gerrymandering is one of those things that can backfire on you really quick, because the object of gerrymandering is to take a bunch of competitive districts and some solid districts and cram all the people that vote against you into a couple of districts where they're going to win a seat pretty much guaranteed. And you spread the rest out over the state to make slightly competitive but safe seats where your candidate gets 55-60% of the vote, something like that. But with how hard people are turning on Trump, this could really, really easily backfire if people show up and vote.
We have literally talked about gerrymandering like every fucking episode, and it's like so ironic because like James and I both have poli-sci degrees, and I like the entire time that like we were in college, I maybe heard like gerrymandering being talked about like a few prominent times, and now it's like every single week you are hearing about gerrymandering.
Yep.
It's just,
in a way, it's good though, because it gets it more it makes it more of an issue that people are thinking about. Like, the most famous one was back in 2010 when Republicans took like a massive wave and got like over 1,000 seats across both state and federal lines during Obama's first term. And they then proceeded to redraw the lines in most of their states after the 2010 census to massively favor Republicans in more than half of the states. And the outcome of that was it made it a lot harder for Republicans to lose in a lot of places. And that's how in Wisconsin we've been stuck with Republican rule for the last 15 years, despite being a purple state in every other way except the ones that they can gerrymander.
It's just how the political meta has shifted. It used to be to run for office, you needed to care about the people and do something that furthers their interests. Now, I'm not saying that that's always good because, well, slavery, but it used to be you had to do something that the people you represent wanted.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then at some point in time, it shifted with, growing access to media. It became, who can best pretend to care about the people that they're supposed to represent?
I mean, it quite literally is the fundamental idea of a democracy is to do what the people that vote you in want you to do.
And yet, how many issues are 60, 70, 80% in favor issues that nobody on either party ever takes up?
So for a while, the political meta was, I don't know, we can argue that it occurred sometime around the Reagan years. Emma?
Fuck Ronald Reagan.
Thank you.
I'm like a parrot.
But the political meta shifted to pretending to care about what your constituents want, which is why the number one rule of political debate and making statements is you never answer the question. You answer the question you wish they asked. And now we've moved on even from that, and the meta is just to make sure the people who don't like you, well, their votes don't count. Like, I am probably the most actually, no, Emma's the most electoral out of all of us. Dane is the least electoral.
I was going to say, thank you.
But I'm a firm believer in electoral change making, but, like, this has crossed the Rubicon. Like, there is no way back from this without serious reform.
Yeah.
Like, fuck it, gerrymander everything at this point. Like, that's the only shot you have at getting something passed to fucking fix it.
We got to be the Oprah of gerrymandering. Nobody gerrymanders like me.
The new slogan, fight like FDR. What did FDR do? He threatened to pack the court. And when he actually went through with it, and they called him on his bluff, he went through with it.
But packing the court, though, like, it sets a really bad precedent.
A lot of things in politics do, but like politics fucking sucks, and this is exactly why it sucks. Because sometimes you have to do shit that you really don't want to do and that you think is a bad idea, but if you don't do it, we lose everything.
In other news, it's been big news this week. Spirit Airlines is shutting down, and there is a large amount of people on the internet that are trying to buy it and make it the people's airline.
$133 million in just 3 days. Never in all my years did I think something like this was possible, but the people actually want to buy Spirit Airlines, and it might actually come to fruition. This guy, Hunter, started this entire trend, and he said at first it was kind of like a joke, but now it's gained real traction. The goal is to buy Spirit Airlines and have it owned by the people, which would require $1.7 billion. And while that sounds like an egregious amount, in only 3 days, they had a pledge of $133 million. And according to the website, everyone's going to have an equal vote, regardless as to whether you pledge the minimum of $45 or upwards of $100,000 or even $1 million. If this really happens, it's going to be truly a people-owned company with equal voting power all around for the company.
If we, as the people of this country, can collectively come together and buy Spirit Airlines, I don't want to hear shit about how we can't have a revolution. If we can all unite over that and pool all of our fucking money, I don't want to hear it, because the amount of money that has to go towards that compared to like the amount of time that it takes to get actual material change in this country.
An activist friend of mine that I like and respect quite a bunch made a pretty valid point about this that I hadn't considered. And that point is that Spirit Airlines is important because it's a budget airline.
Yeah.
It keeps air travel accessible to, us that are living paycheck to paycheck. And that's been on my mind for a bit, and I think at the end of the day, my opinion now is still fuck airlines, build rail. Airlines are an industry that runs on razor thin profit margins. Like, any of the airlines are just one bad news story away from going into bankruptcy, and that is with a single psychopathic CEO cutting corners everywhere.
And don't even get me started on the carbon emissions that come from flying.
I guess I'll be the one to say it. Nobody recognizes a scam when we see one. That's all well and good what you both said, but at the same time, do we really think that we can actually collectively buy a failing airline right now?
God damn it.
Do we think this is a real thing? Do we really think this is a real thing? Come on, people.
Why do you have to be a wet fucking blanket?
That's my job.
If it's actually real, I support it 100%.
Emma, god damn it. The working class is going to buy Spirit Airlines.
What has the last 10 years taught you? If not, hope is bullshit. We're about to get hit with another pandemic, for God's sakes, and this one looks to be far more robust than good old COVID. And Trump is back in power to be the person who deals with it. So, yeah.
That is why we need our own
for
airline.
future news stories, by the way, everyone, because hantavirus is coming. You heard it here first.
Why would you put that into the air?
I mean, it's already going into the air. That's the problem.
It's bad luck to be superstitious. Remember how well this administration handled it last time we had a public health crisis.
When he was trying to pretend like he wanted to handle it right. This time he's completely given up the ghost on wanting to handle it right. There will be no hantavirus vaccine, everyone. Fuck that. It's not happening. It is 20 to 50% more deadly than COVID. It does not care if you're healthy or if you're immunodeficient.
I'm so disappointed in the amount of Zoomers that I'm seeing that are saying that we should just blow up that ship.
I'm not saying we should. I'm just saying what happened last time. And this one's worse.
Nope. Shut up, Emma. You put that into the air. I guarantee you we're going to have a Trump tweet within 24 hours saying, no, we were totally right to bomb that girls' school in Iran because there's a hantavirus case there.
You know what?
Honda?
I hate it, but I'm almost certain that they would actually
you
try
know what?
that.
You know what they're gonna do? You know what they're gonna do? Israel's gonna take it out, and they're gonna say Hamas was in the fucking boat.
A Hamas terrorist was carrying Hassan Piker and hantavirus.
We've gone completely off the rails, but
The rails that you wanted to build.
We've never been on the rails, but we should have been.
Yes.
1.75 billion is enough to get the initial planning, environmental review, and early construction of major sites for a high-speed rail network. That is not everything, but that's a start.
Working class could put that energy towards something else instead of. I mean, I'm a fan of People's Plane, but like,
you could actually run a rail network democratically, though.
Yeah.
Like you cannot run an airline democratically. Dictators suck ass, but they're famously much more effective at getting what must be done, regardless of consequences. You have a dictator at the top of airlines, usually a psychopath that does not care anything about the people under them. There are problems at many, many levels with the airline industry, especially as we reach peak oil, which will happen at some point. Eventually, our ability to frack more things is going to run out, and there's going to be a real oil shortage. And good luck keeping an airline in the air then. But you know what you can keep running? A fucking train.
That's why I'm excited with, gas prices. I think it's really going to be a bicycle boy summer.
Tricycle girl summer.
And once again, thank you for watching another episode of Resistance Radio. As always, make sure you like, subscribe, leave a comment, and check out our other socials. We are, starting to build a little bit of a name for ourselves, and it's been really great. We've been appreciating all the positive feedback that we've been getting from all the comrades that we've run into at different events. You guys now have proof that Emma, James, and I actually do hang out outside of the pod as well. It was on our Instagram. And yeah, as I always say, get active, get wise, and get organized.
We've been getting a ton of positive comments from people in real life and a ton of hate comments in our comment section. So leave whichever one of those you prefer. Doesn't bother me. Check out our Discord. If you want to suggest things for us to cover, come yab at us in Discord. It's still really, really small, so, scream at us, say hi, whatever.
Remember, kids, look both ways before crossing the street, read Das Kapital, fuck Ronald Reagan, and if regular Joe asks to see your Yakahudis, call 911.
I'm leaving that out.